It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Oh, I used to do a card trick where I'd make all the cards disappear very quickly and then one of the cards would appear in a participant's pocket. So that always used to get a good laugh when it worked. When it didn't, it was very embarrassing for a 12-year-old Jake.
And that is Jake McIntyre in Melbourne. We'll get back to that conversation in just a moment. Hey, it's on again. Welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast on a Friday. Yes, how good are we feeling heading towards another weekend? We are, of course, on air every morning, 7 days a week around Australia. Many of us will be looking at property tomorrow, if not looking, maybe attending an auction, or simply dreaming about where we want to live, breathe, and enjoy life from. Somebody needs to, I think, work out how much of your life is dedicated to thinking about real estate. It does remind me of the study of how many times men and women think about sex in a single day. There used to be these numbers of up to 350 times a man would think about it, which I can tell you is a myth. The scientific number is 19 times for men and 10 times for women. When you are in the mode of buying a property, it will smash that sex number. You will probably be thinking of real estate well over 200 times a day. No scientific study on that, by the way, just a mild observation into the real estate mindset. Now, as mentioned, it is a Friday again with the weekend almost here. It is May the 30th. And remember, we are not a real estate company, but we talk to real estate professionals every day and know all of the leading real estate companies across Australia, which is why we have put together a list of trusted companies and agents to make this process for you when you're looking to buy a little easier. You'll be able to talk with these people directly about the areas that you're interested in buying. This is especially useful if you're based outside of Australia, looking at either moving back or looking to migrate here. And if you'd like a hand getting that process started, all you got to do is email us, tell us what city you are moving to and where your desired suburbs are, and we'll do that connection. We'll pass on our trusted real estate contacts to you. That way you are not going in blind. You're starting with a recommendation. The email address, myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Well, on a Friday, let's go to Melbourne and catch up with Jake McIntyre from Apollo Auctions. And a very good morning to you, Jake. I don't know what you thought about those stats with regards to people thinking about sex in a single day. I think real estate would smash it out. What do you reckon?
I reckon you're on the money there. I think if you're in real estate buying mode, you've got all the notifications coming at you all day long. So maybe in the quad digits for some people.
Yeah, that's the thing about social media. It's a moving electronic billboards. Now, tell us a little bit about what's been going on with you, because you were living in Tasmania. You're an auctioneer. You participated recently in this Australasian Auctioneering Championship, which I found quite strange because you're not in a market where there's plenty of auction activity.
No, I think the statistics suggested 53 auctions were called in Tasmania last year. And if you're doing that as a full-time job, not enough to produce an income to support yourself, really. So I made the big move to the big smoke up in Victoria and Melbourne.
So tell us, before you actually made that move, what actually made you get into wanting to be an auctioneer? Because it's a real skill being an auctioneer. I think a lot of people just sort of take it for granted, but there is a lot of skill involved.
Absolutely. I think taking it back to when I was a teenager and even before that, I used to do busking a little bit embarrassingly as a magician on the streets at our Salamanca markets. And then throughout college, a long history of theatre and performing arts. So it's the perfect marriage of real estate and performing arts, really. So that's what started my obsession with it. There was a number of people that pointed me in the right direction in Tasmania. But as far as good coaches, they were really all came out of the interstate and from New Zealand as well.
So tell us, like leading into this competition, you were training with a guy who's AKA the human calculator, drilling down on the numbers because you've got to be thinking of those numbers with accuracy and also speed, and you're doing those two things under pressure. So I can imagine, okay, why not get some training here from somebody that's really good at it? I was just saying to you off air, I was hopeless at maths at school because the calculator, just use the calculator. You can't do that because you're running so hot in an auction.
The human calculator, it's a name that's been passed on from a number of people. Originally, my first auction coach, which was Harry Lee, he won the competition back in 2015. He was known as the human calculator. And then his prodigy, Luke Benitiosis, who won the competition last year, was the human calculator. And now that's been passed on to Greg Bryden, who is my training partner up here in Victoria. So it's a number of techniques, but it really comes down to repetition. So we were training the couple of weeks leading up to it at least once a day, and if not multiple times a day, either in person, over Zoom, and also through applications like an app called Mental Maths, which is just aimed at high school students to improve their addition skills. But for Auctioneer, it's kind of our secret tool.
So, Jake, I think you were a little bit maybe better than me at school when it came to the maths subject.
Yes, yeah. I found myself naturally going that way, and it just happens to be a bit of a benefit now I'm in auctioneering.
So tell us, what else is there in terms of this competition? What other things do you have to really sort of concentrate on? Obviously, there's a set time. How difficult is that with the timing of it?
This year it was 16 minutes, and then you started incurring penalties after that 16 minutes. You have to do a number of things, and you get judged on a series of criteria, which totals to about 500 points off of 9 judges. So that criteria includes your first impressions, your documentation, even just finishing the auction, but the majority of the points comes down to the bidding. So one of the major contributing factors of the bidding is the calculations of bid. So you get marked quite harshly if you incorrectly calculate a bid. So you're better to take your time and get it right. But under pressure up on stage, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yes, I'm sure it is. All right, we're talking to Jake on our Friday morning, talking all things auctions. We'll come back after this.
Every morning from 6 a.m, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts. We deliver the most property podcasts across Australia every week.
And right now it is time for another property tip, and we are back to the Gold Coast. Alex Fleury we spoke to very recently, and Alex, you've got something that people can take advice from this morning.
Yes, we're seeing some growth in the market, and like stocks and shares, you always make money when you buy. And so what a good tip would be is to buy on a longer settlement, even if you have to release a bit of a deposit. That way, by the time you actually settle on the property, you actually have an indexed inflation in your asset. By the time you settle, you may have even made an extra 5 to 10% without the cash going out the door. And the same on sale of the property. If you're selling, you want to get a quick transaction done so that you can buy into the market before it inflates. So you want to make sure you catch and throw in the same market if you're selling.
Every morning from 6 a.m, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts. We deliver the most property podcasts across Australia every week.
It is a Real Estate Friday, and we are talking to Jake there in Melbourne, and it's all about being a competent auctioneer. What did you do? You made the finals, did you?
Yes, second ever attempt at the Ostros. I believe it was my third ever competition. To my knowledge, there's only been one other competitor who pipped the post a little bit. He was Daniel Coulson in 2013, I believe, who won it on his first attempt. So he's a little bit quicker than me, but first ever Tasmanian to make a final. And it's really special because the competition started in Tasmania in 1991. So they've never had a Tasmanian competitor make the final. So it was really special for my home state.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is fantastic. Yeah, especially for Tasmania having held that event so long ago, well before you were born.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the next chapter, because you've decided to move into Melbourne. You've decided, right, let's get into the big smoke here. Melbourne, plenty of auctions going on. You have moved there with a company that is really right there in the centre of auctions. So how is that experience all sort of playing out for you over the last 2 months of being there?
Compared to last week in Tasmania, where there was 2 auctions, I believe last week here there was 1,300 auctions, so plenty of opportunities up here in Victoria. But no, Justin Nickerson leading Apollo Auctions, really just a world-class company, and that's sort of the guiding statement, with the goal of doing 10,000 auctions this year across Australia and New Zealand. Nothing but good things out of this company. Greg Bryden, who's now the general manager, encouraged me to come across and take up the opportunity. And even from last year, we were calling auctions straight away. So I hit the ground running. It's been wonderful.
You've moved from Hobart to Melbourne. What are you hoping to achieve in the next couple of years?
It's just developing a relationship with agents in the area and developing the reputation. In Tasmania, I was selling real estate for 7 years, so I developed a pretty good reputation back down there. The small country boy coming up to the big Vic, I just need to start it all again. But it's all very exciting. So from a numbers point of view, we're hoping the Victorian team will get up to well over 1,000 auctions by the end of this year across a number of us, and I'm hoping to be a pretty strong part of that.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning that you were a magician before you got into real estate. What is your best magical illusionary trick?
Oh, I used to do a card trick where I'd make all the cards disappear very quickly, and then one of the cards would appear in a participant's pocket. So that always used to get a good laugh when it worked. When it didn't, it was very embarrassing for a 12-year-old Jake.
I've got a card trick which it works every time. You'll know how you do this. So you spread the cards open. They're facing the person in front of you. You say to the person, right, memorize one of those cards. If you've got somebody sitting next to them, you say, right, tell them what the card is. Clarify with that person that the card is there, then close it. Then put your hands behind your back and then bring out 4 cards and spread them and say, is one of those cards yours? You know this trick?
No, I haven't heard of it.
You don't know this trick? I'll talk to you about it afterwards. All right?
A magician never reveals his secret.
That is right. Hey, nice talking to you, Jake, and all the best there in Melbourne, and good luck with calling those auctions.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time buyer, know your property with us on the Real Estate Podcast.
There are sales taking place, but it's very limited as well. There are 94 homes on market in the Palisades right now. Some of them are just land. Some of them are homes that didn't burn down that have already been cleaned up. To put that in perspective, there are 9 pending sales and only 12 have sold since the fires, 6 of them in the last 30 days.
What about devaluation? So somebody's just put their hands up in the air and they've said, no, we do not want to rebuild here. We want to get out. We don't want this to happen to us again, potentially. The fact that they're still sitting there might be a bit of a clue.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's 16 months of inventory, so buyers have their choices. And one of the biggest problems right now is that you can't finance these properties. A lot of the properties still don't have utilities. There's still ongoing cleanup of the catastrophe that took place in January. So, without the ability to finance it, essentially these properties are sold for cash.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.